All right. Hey, this is John with Utopia. Ah! Screwed it up. I'll never be able to do it again. All right. Hey, this is John with Utopia Experience. So this video is going to be about grounding, earthing, going barefoot, basically just connecting with nature. Benefits. I mean, why would we want to walk barefoot, right? Society is, basically tells us, we need to wear shoes, right? It's clean, it's hygienic. Why would we go barefoot? It's dangerous. We're going to get cuts on our feet. We're going to, what would be the benefit to this? And to be honest, there's a lot of science behind it. There's a lot of benefit to going barefoot. Me personally, I haven't worn shoes in, if I go to the city, yeah, I wear shoes, when I'm here in the property, when I'm in Utopia, I'm barefoot. I would say, and prior to this, I lived on the beach, and I would say for the last probably 12 to 15 years, I've pretty much been barefoot, apart from when I'm in the big cities. Like if I go to town, if I do some shopping, of course, some places are required. You need to go to the bank, we need to wear shoes, right? Go to a nice restaurant, we need to wear shoes. So, I'm not one of these purists. You have a lot of people out there like, oh, you need to be barefoot all of the time. I mean, come on, time and a place, right? But for me, when I can be barefoot, I'm barefoot. And if I know I'm going on a crazy hike in the jungle, I have like the toe shoes, like the 5 fingers. And they're great. They really help me, just not get huge, massive thorns through my feet. So I'm barefoot, I would say 90% of the time. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the benefits. Why do I want to be barefoot? Why would I choose to not be wearing shoes? And there's a lot of reasons. One is for health. Basically, we're designed, we've evolved to be barefoot. We've only been wearing commercial shoes, really for the last, couple hundred years. So was that like some evolutionary, thing that just happened? Like, oh, hey, we need shoes. No, we've evolved to not wear shoes. There are more, the place on our body that has the most nerve endings is actually on our feet. Like, when we have more nerve endings in our feet than any other point in our body. Well, actually not any. I think our lips have a little bit more nerve endings. But our feet are loaded with nerve endings. Why? It's a sensory zone. So basically, there's direct neural connections from our feet to our brain. So by walking barefoot, we're activating pressure points. We have direct nerve sensors and endings in our feet going to our kidneys, to our liver, to our gallbladder, to our heart, to our brain. And by walking barefoot, we're actually activating all of these pressure points. We step on a small stone and a small rock, and we're constantly activating all of these sensory nerves on our feet, which is helping our brain understand our surroundings and where we're at. So it's really important, and when we wear big clunky shoes, we're just kind of like, we put these big, funky things on our feet, and we're just clunking around, and we're cutting off all of this basically sensory information that our body has evolved to need. Apart from that, we're degrading the muscles in our body, in our legs, our hips, our back. By wearing shoes, we've been taught to believe by the clothing industry, the footwear industry. It's $1 billion a year industry. I think it's $2+ billion a year industry, the foot industry, the shoe industry. So do they really have our well-being at, is that their main goal for our well-being, or is it a business? Is it to make money? I'll let you be the judge of that. But wearing these big shoes, clunky shoes on our feet, it's not really helping us. You look at most shoes, and most shoes have arch support. And a lot of people say that that's great, but I don't necessarily see it that way. You know, it's like if you have a broken arm, you know, and we put it in a cast, and after like 6 months of not using your arm, you get atrophy. You lose the muscles in your arm because it's in the cast. You're not able to move it, right? Okay, I think we can all agree on that. So you're wearing a shoe, and it's giving you arch support. So we're not using that muscle anymore. So it's giving our feet atrophy. It's giving us, we're not able to utilize our feet muscles properly. We're killing the muscles in our feet. Apart from that, our ankles, it weakens our ankles, it weakens our calves, it weakens our knees, and it moves up all the way through our body. It weakens our hips. We're all connected. Like, so what happens on our feet goes all the way through us, all the way up to our head here. So it's not like, you know, oh, my feet are isolated and I'm just protecting my feet by wearing shoes. No, absolutely not. So that's one aspect of going barefoot. I feel like it really helps to strengthen my feet, because now when I'm walking, you know, I can step on a sharp rock and my foot automatically adjusts. Like, I'll feel my foot just lift automatically. Like, there's like these sensory, like I'll start to feel something pointy on my foot, and like my foot will just start to lift up, and it doesn't take the sharp rock. My foot has adapted in a way to where I can just walk over almost any surface. You know, apart from that, people are like, whoa, don't you get thorns? What happens if you step on a piece of glass? To be honest, we build up these calluses on our feet that, and it's really interesting. Harvard actually did a study on the calluses on our feet, because it builds up such a thick layer of skin and a callus that we don't necessarily feel the pain. Like, we can step on a thorn or on a small piece of glass and there's no pain sensory, but yet we can feel, like, you can take a feather and I can take it across my feet here, you know, with all these thick calluses I have here, and I can rub a light feather across here and I feel every bit of that. So it's really interesting. And like you can see here, like, I don't know, I have this really deep cut here on my toe. Not even a deep, it's probably, I don't know, maybe an eighth of an inch little cut here on my toe, but there's nothing, it doesn't hurt. It's all in the callus. But I can feel everything when I go and touch my foot. So it's like I have this built-in sole of a shoe on my foot. So I find that all really, really interesting. Some other interesting things. A lot of people say, but it's not hygienic. There's not a lot of, you know, like, you're getting dirt all over your feet. And I kind of say I disagree with that. I think that being barefoot is actually more hygienic than wearing shoes. The reason I actually say that is, like, let's just say you're walking around on a pair of shoes and you step in some dog poop. You might brush your shoe off in the grass, right? And but there's still going to be dog poop stuck in the cracks of your shoe, and you're going to be walking around with that, right? And you're going to track that dog poop in your house or wherever it is you're going, and it gets stuck there. I mean, because I know very few people that go and stop, take off their shoe, and like scrape out all the dog poop from the cracks of their shoes, right? I mean, so if I'm barefoot and I happen to step in something gross, trust me, I'm going to go and I clean off my foot. Yeah, I might get some dirt, I might get some, you know, some mud, but that's great for your immune system, you know. And if I happen to step in some dog poop, trust me, I'm going to go clean it off really quick, and I'm going to clean it off good. So it's going to be more hygienic. Apart from that, you know, going barefoot, you don't get things like athlete's foot. You don't get bacteria and fungus. Like, you see people that wear shoes their whole life and they have these gross deformed toenails. They're always suffering from athlete's foot, or they have deformity in their feet from being crammed into shoes. These are all problems associated with shoes. Being barefoot, you just don't get those foot funguses. So think about this. Think about it this way. Where does bacteria like to grow? Where does fungus like to grow? In bright, sunny places, or in cool, wet, damp places? I mean, think about that. Like, you know, if you have a wall in a house and it's all shaded and it's wet all the time, well, it's going to grow mold. It's going to get gross, and it's going to get fungus and mildew on it, right? If you have the sunny side of your house and it's getting sunshine every day, all day, it's going to be clean, pretty, nice, no fungus, no mildew, no mold, right? Our feet are the same way. So think about that. You know, if we cram our feet into dark, damp, sweaty shoes with socks all day, every day, we grow fungus, mildew, bacteria. We get funguses on our toes and on our feet, and athlete's foot, and all these other issues. I mean, it's just kind of common sense if you really think about it. So I'm not saying wearing shoes, we should never wear shoes. I'm just saying think about trying to be barefoot more often. Let our feet breathe. Let our feet connect to earth, connect to nature. Apart from all of that, now you come into the whole earthing and the grounding part of going barefoot. The energy, the positive and negative ions of the earth, the energy, being connected to earth helps us regulate and balance the energy in our bodies. And I can feel that, I really can. Like, walking barefoot in nature, walking in our garden, getting my feet in the soil, I feel good. I feel it takes away stress. It takes away anxiety. So I really think there's something to that. I think as a society, we've lost a lot of connection to nature. So, so there's just lots of aspects about going barefoot and grounding and earthing. So, yeah. So I don't know. And it's something that's instilled on us from childhood. I think, from kids, wear your shoes, you're going outside, put your shoes on. And there's a lot of new studies, actually, once again, from Harvard, huge, big studies about how it's not productive for your children to wear shoes prior to the age of 5. They actually say children shouldn't really wear shoes unless at all necessary until they're at least 5 years old. The reason for this is it creates more core balance, better stability, like I said, with their ankles and their leg muscles. And it just they're able to run around better, and it creates a much more stable child that's able to run, climb, and jump way, way better. So what difference is it from kids to adults? We just think it's not socially accepted to be barefoot, right? And I can understand, yes. I mean, if you have a desk job and you're in an office, you can't be the guy in your suit going into the office barefoot, right? So there's a time and a place. But when you get home, kick those shoes off, walk around in your grass, be barefoot, connect to nature as much as you can. And so how do you start going barefoot? It's because for me, it's easy. Like I said, I already have a shoe built in on the bottom of my foot. This is like leather, like I said, I've had years and years of calluses built up on this foot. But for a person that's been wearing shoes for 20 years, 30, their whole life, sometimes going barefoot, I see people that go out and they step in the grass and they're like, oh my God, and they're not able to, they're freaking out. So you have to take it step by step, literally. You need to go slow. Start off in soft areas, start off in grass, sand, maybe even some mulch. Walking across little rocks and gravel might be actually really painful. So ease into it, but work on it, take the time to dedicate something to your health, because if you don't take the time to work on your health now, then you're going to have to take time to work on your illnesses later. So it's really important that we do take some time in our life to better ourselves. And if that means walking around barefoot in our backyard for a little while, why not? What's it going to hurt? So anyways, those are just a few interesting points I've found on grounding. So there's a couple other interesting benefits, well, depending how you start walking barefoot. Another one that's a little more controversial is how we walk. So normally wearing shoes, we normally walk heel, toe, and we slam our heel down and we come forward with our clunky shoes, and this is kind of like the normal thing. And when we're stepping heel toe, it's creating a jolt through our whole body, and it creates more of our knees absorb way more of the impact than our feet do. So because we have these cushioned shoes on, so we walk heel, toe, and that jolt comes up, and what is absorbing it is our knees and our hips, and also then our backs and everything else. And this is very, just we learn this as a child with shoes to walk heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. But the way we've actually evolved is walking toe heel, toe heel. And you can see this in children. So like if you look at from toddlers that are just learning to walk, from toddlers up until the time we start cramming their feet into shoes and teaching them to become part of society, then they start walking heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, because it's just more conducive with shoes walking that way. But when we're barefoot and we're as kids, we walk toe heel, toe heel. And by doing this, our ankles are now also absorbing a lot of this impact. So it builds a lot more calf muscles, which creates a lot more stability in our body, as well as it takes off at least, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's a big amount of impact off of our knees, because now we have shock absorbers. They're called our ankles right here. So our toe hits, our toes take some of that absorption of the coming down. They bend up, and then our ankle absorbs some of that impact as we come down, and then our heel finally touches the ground, and what takes the impact the last is our knee. And this is a really, really like just natural way of walking. And it's just not really traditionally done in today's society. But if you look at Native Americans, all Native Americans walk toe heel. One, you're more stealthy when you're walking through the forest because you put your toes down, you're not stepping and breaking branches, you're able to walk much quieter. So for hunting, for all hunter and gatherers, definitely, like if you look in the Amazon and all of these places, they all walk barefoot, and they're all toe heel, toe heel. And they never need knee replacements, they never need hip replacements. They're running, jumping their entire life through the jungle barefoot. How is this possible? I mean, we evolved to be this way. So I think there's a lot to all of this, and I think, take everything with a grain of salt, do your own research. But for me and my experience, I found this whole process to be really interesting. Another interesting fact that I had researched not too long ago was on the eco-friendliness of not having a ton of shoes. There's a study that basically shows that just tennis shoes alone, basically are 1.4% of the world's carbon emissions. So just the manufacturing of tennis shoes. That's not all shoes. That's just tennis shoes, 1.4%. So that doesn't sound like a huge number, but it's still a pretty big number. 1.4% of the world's carbon emissions come from the creation of tennis shoes. Okay. Now, you look at the world's air traffic. Helicopters, private jets, airplanes, all of it. The world air traffic, 2.5%. So let that sink in, So everybody's like, wants to be eco-friendly nowadays. So if you have 20 pairs of tennis shoes and old boots and things sitting like that in your closet, it's really not that eco-friendly. How many shoes do we really need? I think we should have, like I said, a pair of toe shoes. Still lets our feet be flexible, lets us move. It still lets us have support on our ankles. And that's a great way to start going barefoot, is buy a pair of the really thin-soled toe shoes or five-finger shoes, because that allows our feet to not have that arch support. It allows us to start working and supporting our ankles, and building up those calf muscles, building up our knee muscles, and it realigns our hips and our back. And there's a lot of issues that come from wearing shoes. So take all that into consideration, and I hopefully you guys find this video interesting. If you found any value in it, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you happen to think of somebody that might benefit or be interested in this video, share it with them. It would really help our channel.